Dribbling, my god, what a nightmare it is in FIFA 23. This is a complete guide to left-stick dribbling for what it is. We have to work with what we've got, so let's jump into it. If we're going to compare left-stick dribbling to 22, it's a letdown. Let's just say that, okay? I'll tell you that for free. Now, to dribble with left stick in FIFA 23, what I've noticed is you can't turn very quick unless you use this specific technique. Now, to dribble in FIFA 23, you can't just chop the stick like it was last year in 22 to get quick movement. Can't just chop it because it won't register as quick as it did last year. The way you want to dribble is you want to have very minute movements on the left stick. It's kind of like the jockeying technique that I taught you guys back in FIFA 22, where when you used L2, R2 jockeying, when you're close to the attacker, you would have to do minute movements so that the player wouldn't necessarily move far past the attacker and overcommit. It's a similar concept. When you're dribbling, you want to have very minute movements so that it's not clicking. You hear that? Clicking. You want to do it so it's minute and it's to where it actually is clicking on the controller, okay? Last year in 22, you could dribble by clicking, okay? And that's in fact how you would maneuver very quick, and you would basically turn quick. Instead of rolling the stick, you would click it. This year, it's a combination of being very minute on the stick and kind of rolling it to get the direction that you want. Now, you can chop it, and by chop I mean it's going directly to the sides, but you're not going all the way, as I said. To get as much movement and as much agility as you can out of the dribble, you need to move it minutely and essentially move the attacker around like so. Okay, and this will allow you guys to essentially maneuver in and out of tackles and essentially use these dribbling techniques that I'm about to break down for you guys. Taking a touch to determine the dribble. This is super important, and the reason being is because if you take a touch in a wrong direction this year in 23, and I'm going to have a complete tutorial on taking a touch for you guys coming out in the next few days. So if you smash 500 likes in the next 24 hours, I will release a complete taking a touch tutorial in the next couple of days, okay? What I will say though is, if you take a touch, let's say towards the pressure. Last year in 22, if you took a bad touch towards the defender, you could react quick enough to turn back. Because you can't turn as quick, the touch has never been more important in any FIFA, which means when you take a touch, always take it to the space. What this does is allows you to keep the back to the opponent. It allows you to dribble into the space properly without having to react to the defender if you take it towards him. And it in general just allows you to keep the ball, because as I said, you can't react. So the touch is one of the most important aspects when starting off with a dribble in FIFA 23. Waiting for a defender to commit to a side. Now this is how in fact you do beat defenders with left stick dribbling. Again, as I said, you can't be as agile compared to previous years like 21, 22. But what we can do is use the minute dribbling technique, which I have broken down for you guys in the previous two segments. And basically, you want to dribble back and forward to essentially make the defender commit to a side. Now, when the actual opponent is jockeying, he will be trying to read where you're going to go. And if you feint him with movements, left, right, he will eventually commit too far to a side to leave a gap open on the opposite side. We can then burst into that gap that is left open, or we can find a pass. And that's the best thing about it, is once that gap and space is opened up, and once you've made the defender commit, that's when you can exploit the space that you've then opened up with left stick dribbles. Keeping your back to the opponent. This goes in line with the dribbling technique and taking a touch. The two aspects I've already taught you. It's super important because keeping your back to the opponent will prevent him from making a tackle. He can't go through you or he's going to foul you. So keeping your back to him will allow you to keep the ball, shield it away, and dribble and keep the ball, okay? And as I said, because we can't react quick enough this year, if we take a touch towards the defender, we will not be able to react quick enough to turn back and keep our back to him. So if you can take a touch where your back is already facing the defender when you're dribbling, this will benefit you guys greatly. Now, when you're keeping your back to the opponent, you can use this to essentially do the feigning technique. So when he's approaching you, keep your back to him, push the left stick slightly forwards, the opposite direction of where the defender is, and move that minutely back and forwards to do the feinting motion to essentially make the defender commit. And keeping your back to him will allow you to do this, essentially allow you to keep the ball, allowing you to make him commit to a side, and then you can exploit the space, as I said, that is left open. How to dribble on the wing. This is very, very important, and you can use the line to your advantage. What do I mean by that? When you're dribbling along the line and you're keeping your back to the opponent and you're attempting to feint him using all the techniques I've already taught you, you can actually use the line to your advantage, because when they actually go in for that tackle, if they do get the ball off you, there's a high percentage chance that you will have the ball back because it will go out for a throw in. So I do like using the line to my advantage when I'm dribbling and attacking up the line. And that is a primary attacking technique for myself. I use the wing a lot to drag the defenders out. We can use left stick dribbling to our advantage in this attacking technique. And essentially, when you're on the line, what you can do is you can turn towards the line and face it. Then the defender will begin to approach you, and you can then use the techniques like I taught you, keeping your back to him, feinting him, and using a minute movement on the left stick to feint back and forwards to essentially make him commit. Then burst up the line. And with sprinting and how it is this year, it's very, very effective. Sprinting, mind you. It is very, very effective, this technique. So be sure to use it. Dribble on the line, use the techniques I've already taught you. Beating a defender in the box with left stick dribbling. This is taking into account the aspects of keeping your back to the opponent, feinting the opponent away. And a very good technique of actually doing this in the box is a left, right movement. And what I mean by that is, you take a touch towards a side, then the opponent will try and read you that side. Then what you want to do is turn back the other side, and then once he goes to read you, then you will then turn back to the original side you took the touch. Now with the second turn back, he will think you're probably going to take a touch, because you take a turn, then turn back the other way. A lot of the time people will think, okay, he's just going to shoot or he's going to pass. No, you feint him. And he will overcommit from that, because he's obviously trying to expect you to shoot or make a pass. So he's trying to go quite far to that side. And with that, keep your back to him. Dribble back minutely with the left stick. Remember, the minute movement, super important, to turn him. You're taking a touch to one side with your back to the opponent, pointing the left stick slightly forwards, then turning back to the original side that you took the touch, and he will feint and overcommit. This will more often than not create a shooting opportunity for you. You can then pass it into another attacker for an extra pass, or have a shot on goal. Beating defenders in the midfield. Again, it's a similar situation where you're looking to try and feint him away. However, what I will say is you can dribble towards defenders in the midfield because you have a lot more space in the midfield area, and essentially you can then turn back, okay, when he's relatively close to you but not too close, because as I said, you can't really react to them. But what you can do is you can go in the midfield, you can go forwards towards the defender, then turn back. This keeps the back to the opponent. It makes him then think, okay, where is he going to go, left or right? You can then feint him using the techniques I've already taught you. And in the midfield, this is a very good technique of keeping possession, because you're keeping your back to him. You're actually also dragging him out, because if you go towards him, he's going to come towards you for the tackle. You then turn back, and what that does is drag him out of his position. So then gaps and space start to open up in the midfield, and that's a very, very effective technique to use dribbling in the midfield. Just remember, taking a touch into the space for the dribble, for the initial dribble, is super important. Don't forget that. Left stick dribbling with defenders. I'm telling you now, this is going to be crucial for you guys. If you don't use the techniques I've already broken down for you in the defense with your defenders, you're gonna lose out, because you can't turn as quick as I said, which means we need to keep our back to the opponent, and we need to ensure that the opponent has committed too far to a side before turning. So a great technique for that is, a lot of the time you'll be defending, they'll put a through ball through, your defender comes out to collect. People will then try and turn back up the pitch towards their goal, yet they don't realize the attacker is easily going to tackle you, and especially this year, you can't react quick enough to react and essentially turn back. So a good technique to use is when you clean the ball up in the defense and you're actually being pressured in the defense, dribble back towards your goal. Number one, this allows you to pass it back to the goalkeeper if you're in trouble. I don't recommend doing that, because a lot of the time you can use this technique, which I'm about to break down, Number 2, if you just dribble directly backwards and you're just sort of maneuvering slightly back and forwards, the opponent will pick one side to go around and try and make the tackle. They have to go around you, of course, because you're keeping your back to him. So he'll have to go around one side. The side he goes around, you want to dribble to the opposite side. And dribbling directly backwards allows you to do that. You're able to see where he's going to commit, then turn back the other way and find yourself out of this sticky situation. It's a very good way of keeping the ball in the defense, not giving it up in this vulnerable area, and essentially just keeping the ball away from the attacker as he's approaching you. Rounding the keeper with left stick dribbling. This is actually quite useful. It really is, because obviously keepers dive down quite easily this year, which means we can sort of slightly move to the right or left and feint him away. If you do a slight left-right movement, this is very good because it will allow you to use the agility of the attacker to your advantage and around him, okay? You can use the ball roll. It's probably the skill move I recommend if you're not going to dribble around him. But I recommend you can approach him, then slightly move it to the left or right, around him, and a lot of the time they will dive down. The amount of times I've rounded the keeper from doing this is super effective, and it, of course, takes the keeper out of the equation so we can get a shot off easily on goal with no trouble whatsoever. Dribbling back with the attacker as you hit his feet. This is super important. Number 1, it takes into account keeping the back to the opponent like I've broken down in the previous segment. Number 2, it allows you to try and exploit a space if he commits to a side to try and get the ball off you, which I broke down in the last segment of, you know how you're dribbling with your back to him, he has to go around you, so he picks a side, which means we can turn the opposite side with the attacker and then exploit the space he's left open from dragging the defender out. Or, speak of the devil, when you do this and you receive the ball and dribble back towards your own goal and not towards the goal you're trying to attack up, then this drags defenders out. You will then notice your attackers will hit those holes. That's a very effective way of using left stick dribbling in FIFA 23. So you can use it to drag defenders out, open up the defense, and essentially drag his centre back out of position for your attackers to then exploit that space. And using the technique of left stick dribbling and keeping your back to him will allow you to do this. Final segment is on agile and strafe dribbling. Now I will have separate tutorials on these dribbling techniques, but what I want to say is these two techniques of dribbling will be more crucial than ever, and I'll tell you that now simply because they are the more agile versions of dribbling this year in FIFA 23. You will notice that if you use agile and strafe dribbling, they are way better than regular left stick because they're more agile. And I think EA have done this on purpose to make people use these dribbling techniques, okay? But what I will say is use R1 for agile dribbling. You can use that to go to the side. And I like the side because it's quite agile when you go to the side, back and forth. I then recommend using strafe dribbling if you're looking to take the ball back. So if a defender is approaching you, take it back with strafe, L1. Or LB, and then of course if he approaches you and he gets near you, use R1, the agile dribbling, to essentially take it to the side. Then you can burst into the space that's opened up, and of course the defender will try and commit to a side to try and read you, so you can exploit the opposite side and basically get in behind. Use these dribbling techniques. As I said, there's gonna be individual tutorials on these, of course, for you boys. We break down every aspect of the game, as you know. But what I will say is, use them because they are more effective than ever. There you have it, complete guide to left stick dribbling in FIFA 23. It's a shame, man, because I would say it's probably my forte. Dribbling has always been my forte, and for it to be taken away like this, it's detrimental. We adapt, boys, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, of course, I'm coaching one-on-one in FIFA 23. If you want one-on-one coaching of taking people from Div 10 to Elite Division, can be done, and it will be done, okay? The link is down below in the description. Check that out. Join the coaching academy. Join the community. It's a tight-knit one over there, and you'll enjoy it. As always, I hope you guys have a good day. I'm out. Sayonara. Au revoir. Adios. Salam. Ciao. Goodbye. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, then I'd really appreciate it if you hit the subscribe button. And lastly, if you do want any pre-gaming fuel or supplement, then head over to atpscience.com, which is the first link in the description, and use the code AussieFIFA at checkout to get yourself a discount. Not only is it the cheapest way to get supplements, but it helps me out a ton, guys, so thank you.